Let's match the power of Slytherin against the famous Harry Potter.
The Harry Potter movies are some of the most magical series that have ever graced television, and many of us grew up watching with wonder. In the second film, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, we discovered shockingly strange surprises, behind-the-scenes blunders, production tricks, and weird facts that you probably never noticed. So today we'll be revealing 20 weird facts you didn't know about the movie. Let's get started. Number 20. Filming started almost immediately after the first movie. You know how most of the cast and crew of big movies take a break for months after filming before resuming to start the sequel? Yes, but for Harry Potter movies that was not the case. The moment Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone finished, Chris Columbus barely had time to fold up his director's chair. He started filming The Chamber of Secrets just 3 days later. That was pretty fast. That's like finishing a marathon and someone handing you another baton to start the race all over again. For Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint, the kids who starred in the movie, it meant jumping straight from one magical school year into the next without even unpacking their Hogwarts robes. Some of them didn't even get a proper summer holiday. Chris Columbus had a big reason for this. The Harry Potter books follow each year of school without huge gaps in time, so he wanted the actors to stay at the right age for their characters. If they waited too long, they'd grow up too fast. If it were that way, we would suddenly have a 17-year-old Harry playing the character of a 12-year-old. So the crew powered ahead without any break, just to keep the same creative momentum. It also meant certain complicated scenes like the flying Ford Anglia were filmed early, even before the main shoot, to give the effects team months to perfect them. That is why The Chamber of Secrets flows almost seamlessly from the first film, like it's one continuous story, rather than a separate production. The downside was that the kids had barely adjusted to being global movie stars before diving right back into another grueling filming days. The magical continuity is one of the reasons the second movie still feels so connected to the first, almost like Hogwarts never closed its doors at all. Number 19. The Chamber of Secrets set, big and real. From the description in the book series, the Chamber of Secrets is a dark, eerie underground space, filled with serpent statues and dripping stone walls. Our guess would have been that the production team would have achieved that through special effects, but it was not all special effects. They actually built the chamber and not just a little corner of it. The set was gigantic. It was around 76 meters long, that's almost the length of a football field, and about 36 meters wide. In film terms, that's huge. It was the single largest set built for the entire Harry Potter series at that point, and the vastness created a sense of intimidation and danger. It had the form of the towering statue of Salazar Slytherin, snake pillars, and slimy stone floors. All that was physically there, not just drawn on a computer screen. However, why did it have to be so big? Director Chris Columbus wanted the actors to actually feel like they were in an ancient, forbidden place deep beneath Hogwarts. He believed that the real environments helped actors give more believable performances, especially kids who might struggle to react convincingly to a green screen. The set had a creepy and mysterious atmosphere, and crew members felt oddly cold and echoey, like you were really underground. It was so detailed that they could film from countless angles without having to move or rebuild anything. In the final scene where the basilisk emerges, a lot of what you're seeing, except for the giant snake itself, is the real set. That's part of why those sequences still hold up so well today. You're looking at an enormous handcrafted environment, not just computer-generated imagery trickery. It's the reason the Chamber of Secrets scenes feel so real, because for the actors, they weren't pretending to be there. Number 18. Flick Miles was cast as Emma Watson's body double. After the first Harry Potter film came out in 2001, almost every child wanted to be a wizard. Fortunately, Flick Miles had the opportunity to experience it. Miles was cast as Emma Watson's body double when she was 9. At the time, the owner of the drama club she attended mentioned that she resembled Watson, who was hired to play Hermione Granger. Before long, Miles landed the job as her double. Every day, Miles went to school with the other child actors, took classes, and then stepped in for scenes. They would frequently be in their full Harry Potter costumes during school, making for quite the interesting classroom dynamic. Between filming, the kids would mess around and explore the sound stages, playing capture the flag and hide and seek in the famed Chamber of Secrets and other notable locations on set. As a double for Watson's Hermione, Miles could be called upon for scenes showing only the back of her head, just a shot of her hand, or a whole range of things. Miles can still point out a few scenes that might be her instead of Watson when watching the first 3 movies, but her memory has become a bit fuzzy over the years. However, one of Miles' most memorable moments was wearing full cat makeup for the scene in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, when Hermione takes a polyjuice potion and transforms into another student's furry friend. She was chosen for that part because Emma had reacted slightly to the glue used to fix the makeup. The effect team had makeup trial runs where they tried out different versions of the cat face paint and prosthetics before landing on the final look, which was a gray cat. Miles filmed the first 3 Harry Potter movies as Watson's double, then returned for Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire as an extra for the Yule Ball scene. After Miles finished filming the franchise, she went back to school, where she studied to be a journalist. Even though Miles left the entertainment industry, she started a Harry Potter-themed podcast in 2020. She uses the show to reconnect with people she worked with on the films, as they all reflect on their shared experiences on set. Number 17, Dobby was just a ball on a stick. When we see Dobby the house elf on the screen, he's a fully animated character with floppy ears and big blinking eyes, but on set, he was a ball. Literally, a ball on a stick. Daniel Radcliffe and the other actors had to perform emotional scenes while looking at this bizarre placeholder. For example, in the scene where Harry tells Dobby he's free, Radcliffe wasn't looking into a real house elf's eye. He was staring at a green ball dangling in front of him to help. The visual effects team gave the ball Dobby's approximate height, so eye lines matched. The design of Dobby came from an office dog named Max. This little dog liked to nap under desks, and the team loved the way his ears flopped. They borrowed that floppy ear look and combined it with sketches from Rowling's book description. Voice actor Toby Jones gave Dobby his distinctive speech pattern by recording alone, so animators could sync every blink and twitch to his performance. It was painstaking work that took months just to record a few minutes of the scene. It's strange to think that one of the most emotional characters in the movie didn't physically exist during filming. Turning a stick with a ball into a beloved, tear-jerking hero is part of a movie trick. Number 16. Aragog was a giant animatronic monster. Before computer-generated imagery took over, filmmakers often relied on animatronics for realism. The Aragog in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets is a perfect example of such. This spider was a 9-foot-tall mechanical beast with an 18-foot leg span. He weighed nearly 1,750 pounds, which is heavier than some small cars. 15 crew members were needed just to operate him. Some controlled the legs, others the mouth, fangs, and eye movements. The result was a creature that could truly interact with the actors. Rupert Grint has admitted that even though he knew it was fake, standing in front of that towering spider gave him genuine shivers, especially since he's scared of spiders in real life. The animatronic was so huge that it barely fit on the soundstage, so it had to be assembled in pieces and then put together inside the set. Its fur was made from yak hair, and its massive fangs could open and close with hydraulic force. The sound team added an unsettling clicking and skittering noise to bring it to life even more. They used computer-generated imagery and wide shots where Aragog scampers around, but for close-ups like when he leans in to speak to Harry, you're seeing the real physical creation. That's why those moments where Daniel Radcliffe and Rupert Grint were actually reacting to a giant mechanical monster looming over them felt so intense. Number 15. The Whomping Willow fight was partly real. That scene where the Weasleys' flying car gets smacked around by the Whomping Willow was not all computer-generated imagery magic. Much of it was physically built and filmed. The special effects team created mechanical branches with hydraulic power that could really swing and slam. They also built a partial tree on set and attached massive moving limbs that could batter the car from all angles. To make the tree look huge, they used a forced perspective trick. They built a 1/3 scale version of the car and placed it closer to the camera, with the tree further away. From the right angle, it looked like the tree was towering over a full-sized vehicle. For some shots, they also used a life-size car rigged to spin, shake, and bounce as if being hit. The actors weren't inside for the more dangerous moves, but a stunt team made sure everything looked chaotic and real. The Whomping Willow's aggressive personality came partly from the sound design. Instead of just rustling leaves, they added low growls and creaks, making it feel like the tree was alive and angry. This combo of mechanical effects, camera trickery, and sound made the Whomping Willow one of the most convincing magical creatures in the series, despite it being rooted to one spot. Number 14. The sound of the Whomping Willow and mandrakes was real. The Whomping Willow's angry swipes and the mandrake's ear-piercing screams were not pure fantasy. Those sounds came from some very strange real-life sources. Sound designer Randy Tom didn't just want generic noises, so he made them feel alive. For the Whomping Willow, he actually used his own voice. He growled, snarled, and groaned into a microphone, then slowed and deepened the recordings until they sounded like a giant, furious tree. For the mandrakes, the sounds were gotten from weirder sources. Their scream, which represented a deadly cry in the Harry Potter world, was made by mixing the recordings of real babies crying and audio of adult women screaming. The combination was unnerving, but it gave the mandrakes that unsettling human yet inhuman quality. To make the screams feel like they were echoing in a greenhouse, they added layers of reverb and tweaked the pitch so it sounded like the voices were bouncing off glass walls. It's easy to assume these effects come from stock sound libraries, but most were custom-made just for Chamber of Secrets. That's why they feel so distinct, and they're sounds that didn't exist anywhere else before this movie. It's part of the film's magical portrayal. You don't just see a magical world, you hear it, down to the smallest and strangest details. Number 13. The movie had almost 1,000 visual effects shots. You might think that Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets had some big effects moments. That's a single effect being used for the basilisk fight, Dobby, the flying car, and the rest. Here's the surprising part. The movie had close to 1,000 separate visual effects shots. That's a staggering number for 2002, when computer-generated imagery was far more time-consuming and expensive. To get the movie done, 5 major visual effects houses worked together, and they included Industrial Light and Magic, the Moving Picture Company, Framestore, and Cinesite. Each of them handled different sequences. Some focused on creatures like the basilisk, while others worked on spells, flying brooms, and environmental enhancements. Every single magical detail, from glowing words on Tom Riddle's diary to floating candles in the Great Hall, was a separate effect. Even scenes that look mostly real often had hidden digital touches, which included removing safety wires, extending sets, or adding magical flourishes. The basilisk sequence alone required months of work. The team built partial physical models for close-ups, but had to animate the snake's body in full for wide shots. The lighting and textures had to match the real Chamber of Secrets set exactly, so the animated creature wouldn't look fake. For a film released in the early 2000s, the sheer scope of these effects was groundbreaking. Since it was divided among so many studios, the work also required constant communication to keep the style consistent. That's why you never feel like one creature or spell in the film looks off. Number 12. The basilisk's roar was built from different animals. The basilisk might be the ultimate nightmare creature in the wizarding world, but its roar didn't come from just one source. Randy Tom, the sound designer, aimed to make the snake's sound feel ancient, massive, and terrifying, rather than just a hiss. He built it by combining the sounds of different animals. First, he recorded the growls and roars of tigers to give the sound a sharp aggression. Then, he added deep, rumbling tones from elephants to give it weight and scale. He even slipped in bits of his voice, heavily processed, to add a strange edge. And some of the breathing sounds between roars came from recordings of alligators, because their deep, rattly exhales felt reptilian and menacing. The combination was mixed, so the hiss would lead, followed by a rising roar that felt like it could shake the chamber walls. When you hear the basilisk in the film, your brain might not consciously register it as something real and otherworldly. That's why the creature feels so convincing, even when it was animated in the actual sense. Number 11. The actor, portraying Moaning Myrtle, was much older than her character. It might surprise you to learn that the ghostly Moaning Myrtle who haunts the girls' bathroom in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets wasn't played by a teenager at all. Actress Shirley Henderson was 37 years old when she took on the role in Chamber of Secrets, making her the oldest actor to portray a Hogwarts student. You might think a real teen would have been the obvious choice, but director Chris Columbus wanted Myrtle's voice to have a unique, almost shrill quality that would stand out, but still feel youthful. Henderson could mimic a schoolgirl's tone perfectly and pull off Myrtle's whining voice and awkward energy without it feeling forced, so she was cast for the role. Her performance is so convincing that most audiences had no idea she was decades older than her character. Till today, many people are still surprised when they learn her real age during filming. The other reason Henderson was cast is her physicality. Myrtle is constantly floating, swooping, and poking her head through things, and Henderson could handle all the wire work and green screen filming without losing her comedic delivery. To make her look younger, the makeup department gave her a pale, powdery face, added schoolgirl-style hair, and put her in the Hogwarts uniform. The combination of Henderson's youthful face, physical performance, costume, and voice work completely sold the illusion. Shirley Henderson's portrayal gave Moaning Myrtle just the right mix of sad, annoying, and hilarious personality, making her one of the most memorable minor characters in the entire series. So next time you watch the bathroom scene, remember that the supposed teen wailing about her death and Harry's awkward presence could have been old enough to be his mum. Number 10. Ron Weasley's arachnophobia was real. In the movie, Ron Weasley is scared of spiders, but it isn't just a character quirk. Rupert Grint, who played the character, has arachnophobia, which is the fear of spiders in real life. In Chamber of Secrets, the scene where Ron and Harry follow the trail into the Forbidden Forest and meet Aragog is tense, creepy, and full of giant spiders. That very scene was a personal nightmare for Rupert. Grint has admitted in interviews that he's been terrified of spiders since childhood, and the film's spider scene was genuinely hard for him to shoot. Even though the giant Aragog was a massive animatronic and the smaller spiders were mostly props or animated, Rupert's panic was very real. Director Chris Columbus saw this and decided to lean into it. He encouraged Rupert to channel his actual discomfort into Ron's performance. To add to the tension, some scenes had live insects crawling around on set, and the crew made subtle movements with spider models to make them seem more alive. Rupert had to keep his cool, at least enough not to bolt off set. This is why Ron's trembling, high-pitched delivery and panicked movements feel so authentic, because it's Rupert's real reaction caught on camera. His fear of spiders is what made the scene unforgettable. Ron's iconic line, "Follow the spiders? Why couldn't it follow the butterflies?" became one of the most quoted in the series. So whenever you're re-watching that forest scene, remember that you're seeing a young actor live out his real phobia in front of the screen, and somehow he nailed it. Number 9. Ron Weasley's robes are grayer than other students because they are hand-me-downs. Ron Weasley doesn't come from riches, something Draco Malfoy crudely makes fun of in the subsequent series. The costume designers of the Potter series pay attention to this detail, as Ron wears robes that are much shabbier, older, and paler in color than the rest of the students. His are light gray, closer to the color of the school jumpers, compared with the jet black of the other students' robes. The Hogwarts crest also looks as if it has been taken from another robe and sewn on. Ironic, though, when you find out the school uniforms in the film were actually made by the luxury department store Harrods. Number 8. The handle of the Weasleys' family clock was made from scissors. The Weasley family clock is one of the most charming and whimsical props in the Harry Potter films, but unlike a normal clock, it doesn't tell the time. Instead, it tells the location or status of each member of the family, with labels like home, school, traveling, and even mortal peril. There's one delightful detail of the clock that often goes unnoticed, and that is the design of its hands. At first glance, the handles of the clock appear to be shaped like small spoons, but in reality, they're made from scissor handles. The loops in the handles were cleverly filled in to create spaces for miniature portraits of each Weasley. This gives the clock an endearing handmade look, perfectly fitting for the Burrow's cozy, slightly chaotic aesthetic. The choice to use scissor handles was not just creative but practical because their natural shape made it easy to attach the family faces while still resembling ornate, old-fashioned clock arms. It's one of the subtle scenes where the Harry Potter prop department creatively turned ordinary household items into magical artifacts. Number 7. The basilisk wasn't all computer-generated. When you think of the terrifying basilisk from Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, your first instinct might be to assume it was entirely computer-generated. However, the surprising truth is that a huge part of that monster was actually real, or at least physically built. Director Chris Columbus wanted the basilisk to feel truly menacing on set, so the production team created a practical, life-sized animatronic head and neck that could move, hiss, and even snap its jaws. The prop was over 30 feet long, weighing hundreds of pounds, and packed with mechanical systems that allowed puppeteers to control its movements in real time. But why did the production team go to such trouble instead of just making it animated? It is simply because actors react better to something they can actually see. Daniel Radcliffe, who was only 12 years old at the time, could stare straight into the basilisk's glaring yellow eyes instead of just imagining them. Those eyes, by the way, were each the size of a dinner plate and were built to rotate, blink, and glow under studio lighting. However, the animatronic was not used in every scene. For the scene where the full body of the basilisk slithers through the chamber, the team relied on computer-generated imagery. For the close-ups, especially during the epic fight scenes, they used the practical head, giving the sequence a more intense feel. Even Tom Riddle's scenes with the basilisk benefited from this hybrid approach. The mix of practical effects and digital enhancements made the creature one of the most convincing monsters in the entire Harry Potter series. So, in the movie, whenever Harry was facing off against the basilisk, half of that fear came from knowing there was a massive, hissing, snapping mechanical snake looming right there on set. And yes, it was just as scary in real life. Number 6. Tom Felton accidentally improvised an iconic Draco line. In Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, there's a hilarious moment during the Polyjuice Potion sequence when Harry and Ron transform into Slytherin students Goyle and Crabbe to sneak into the Slytherin common room. Harry, disguised as Goyle, tries to play it cool around Draco Malfoy, but then Draco suddenly says, "I didn't know you could read." That line wasn't in the script at all. Tom Felton, who played Draco, completely made it up on the spot. The real reason was that at that moment he forgot what he was actually supposed to say. Instead of breaking character or asking for a prompt, Felton instinctively delivered the sarcastic jab, staying perfectly true to Draco's smug personality. This shows how actors completely embody their roles. They knew their characters so well that even mistakes could feel like natural, authentic moments. The crew found that the improvised line was so funny and so perfectly in character that they kept it in the final cut. This is an example of how some of the best movie dialogues happen by accident. Director Chris Columbus later revealed that Felton had a knack for staying in character even when things didn't go to plan, and this quick thinking became one of Draco's most memorable lines in the entire series. Fans still quote the line today, not realizing it was born from a split-second moment of panic. So the next time you rewatch that scene, remember that Draco's sarcastic reply wasn't in the script, it was purely improvised by Tom Felton. Number 5. Malfoy's dialogue. In Dumbledore's office was unscripted. Towards the end of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, there's a tense scene in Dumbledore's office after Harry saves Ginny and the school from the basilisk. In the scene, Lucius Malfoy arrives, clearly furious about how events have unfolded. In the original script, Lucius was simply meant to turn and leave without any extra dialogue. Still, Jason Isaacs, who played Lucius, felt that this abrupt exit didn't quite fit his character's cold, menacing presence. He believed Lucius wouldn't just walk away quietly, especially not without one last attempt to intimidate Harry. So, in the heat of the moment, Jason Isaacs decided to improvise a line, turning back toward Harry and saying, "Let us hope that Mr. Potter will always be around to save the day." The moment could have ended there, but Daniel Radcliffe, who played Harry Potter, was a sharp actor even as a young boy, so he instinctively delivered an ad-libbed comeback, "Don't worry, I will be." This unscripted exchange added a sharp, memorable sting to the scene and clearly captured the tension between the Malfoys and Harry in a way that the original script didn't. The improvised dialogue between the two actors worked so well that the filmmakers kept it in. The final cut. Jason Isaacs later admitted that he loved throwing little surprises like this into a scene, especially if it gave the younger cast members a chance to react naturally. In this case, Radcliffe rose to the challenge perfectly, giving Harry a moment of confidence and defiance that fans still remember. Number 4. Lucius Malfoy's eyebrow was supposed to be blonde. When Jason Isaacs was cast as Lucius Malfoy in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, the filmmakers wanted him to have a striking and elderly look that would immediately command attention. They first chose the platinum blonde wig he would be wearing, but his overall styling went through a surprising number of experiments before the final version was chosen. The hair and makeup team's first idea was to bleach Isaac's eyebrows to match his blonde hair. They thought that it would create a perfectly uniform, icy appearance and enhance Lucius's pure blood elegance, making him look even more otherworldly. Isaacs, ever the professional, agreed to give it a go. However, once they saw him with the blonde brows, the team quickly realized it didn't have the effect as intended. Instead of making Lucius look more intimidating, the all-white color of the brows softened the look of his face and unintentionally muted some of the character's menace. The contrast between the blonde wig and Isaac's naturally darker eyebrows actually gave him a sharper, more piercing expression, something essential for the calculating and manipulative Lucius Malfoy. After reviewing the test shots, the decision was made, and the white brows had to go. Isaacs kept his natural brow color, which gave his eyes a more defined frame and restored the cold presence his character required. It's a small detail, but it had a huge impact on how Lucius came across on screen. Combining the final look with Isaac's chilling performance made Lucius's styling one of the most memorable villain designs in the series. Number 3. The Weasley family car was modeled after Rowling's car. The Weasley family in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets owns a flying Ford Anglia. This car was one of Arthur Weasley's Muggle inventions, built with an impressive set of magical upgrades. But what many fans might not know is that this magical blue car has a deeply personal connection to J.K. Rowling herself. The model used in the film is a Ford Anglia Deluxe, and it is painted in the exact turquoise shade of Rowling's cars that she and her best friend from school used to ride around in during their teenage years. She once mentioned that those carefree adventures inspired her to include the quirky vehicle in the wizarding world. The Ford Anglia has distinctive design features that make it instantly recognizable. It has a slanted chrome grille that gleams in the sunlight, large eye headlamps that give it a character-like face, and a backward slanting rear window. This unique window helped rainwater slide off, keeping the view clear without a wiper. Its high speed, invisibility, and extra-dimensional loading capacity are all extra features of the magical car. Number 2. A cameraman is visible in one of the scenes. One of the magical moments in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets had blunders. The most noticeable blooper appears during the dueling club scene, where Professor Lockhart and Professor Snape decide to teach students how to defend themselves. The student demonstration between Draco Malfoy and Harry Potter escalated into a real fight. Draco gets the first hit and then knocks Harry down, but the boy who lived isn't one to stay down for long. Harry fires back with a successful spell that sends Draco flying, and when Snape drags Draco back to his feet, the movie magic of Potter is broken for a split second. If you watch closely, especially on a bright screen, you can clearly spot one of the film crew, a cameraman kneeling among the students in the background. The crew member wears modern-day clothing, which makes him look hilariously out of place in the magical chaos of Hogwarts. For a film with such a massive budget and production scale, it's surprising that this slipped through the editing process. It joins the ranks of other famous movie mistakes, where a little behind the scenes, reality sneaks into the fantasy world. So, next time you rewatch The Chamber of Secrets, pause during that dueling scene, and you'll see a cameraman among the wands, spells, and flying students in Hogwarts. Number 1. Lucius Malfoy used the killing curse by mistake. At the end of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, there's a tense moment when Lucius Malfoy, furious over being outsmarted, turns to leave, but not before pulling out his wand and beginning a curse aimed directly at Harry. Fans with sharp ears will notice he starts with the word Avada, which is the deadly beginning of Avada Kedavra, the infamous killing curse. If Lucius had finished the incantation, it would have been the ultimate act of reckless villainy, attempting to murder a 12-year-old in the middle of Hogwarts, right outside the headmaster's office, with no escape plan in sight. In the wizarding world, using Avada Kedavra is an instant ticket to Azkaban, and so it raises the question of whether Malfoy was truly that foolish, or was something else going on. It turns out that Jason Isaacs, the actor behind Lucius, wasn't trying to make his character end Harry's life. At the time of filming, he happened to be in the middle of reading Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and Avada Kedavra was the only curse he could remember. So, in the heat of the scene, he just went with it. Fans still debate whether Lucius would have truly followed through or if he was simply trying to intimidate Harry, but imagining the courtroom defense if he had followed through with the curse. "Your Honor, I meant to pants him, but I could only remember how to take his life." That doesn't exactly sound convincing. Honestly, can we blame him? It wasn't Isaac's fault that he wasn't well-versed in the spells of Harry Potter, so it was up to Dobby's heroic intervention to stop him from using one of the unforgivable curses when Lucius wouldn't have. There you have it, the 20 surprising facts about Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. This is proof that the film contains many hidden details that fans may not have noticed. Next time you see Harry, Ron, and Hermione battling giant spiders or facing the basilisk, you'll know exactly what went into making it happen. So, which of these facts surprised you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, share, and subscribe to this channel. Before you go, check out the other videos on your screen.